conference, we were all completely bowled over by the courage of our next speaker, Lynette Davies. She not only has taken on a second year as chairman of our Rotaract district, but she's grown hugely since she took on that role first time about 15 months or so ago, and has also braved enormous issues to take on a project that I hope she's going to tell us about, of which I am and was very, very impressed. So please welcome to stage Rotaract District 1110 Chairman Lynette Davies.
Good morning. Good morning to RIBI and RI President's representatives, District Governor Caroline, Chairman of Inner Wheel Elizabeth, and the family of Rotary. Today I'd like to tell you about how Bournemouth Rotaract Club is really making a difference in the community and how we're branching out into a new area, our legacy. We've always been a club that likes to work in the community. For many years, the elderly have joined us for a Christmas meal with entertainment, always thoroughly enjoying themselves. This has been one of my passions, as I used to work with the elderly, and I think it is especially important to help those who are vulnerable and isolated. Last year we invited 50 people along to their hotel, people who might otherwise have been alone around Christmas time. And as well as the meal, they were treated to presents from Father Christmas and sung along to carols and old favourites. We have had the backing of Rotary for the last few years, providing drivers and funds in order for the meal to go ahead. I'm hoping we'll have the same support this year as we begin to plan over the coming weeks. We've been working a lot with the elderly, also hosting 3 tea parties a year for a charity called Contact the Elderly. Another community activity that the club has been involved in for a number of years is gardening at the Youth Cancer Trust in Allen Chine. The Youth Cancer Trust provides holidays for young people with terminal illnesses, and we've always enjoyed helping them with the upkeep of their garden. We spent 2 evenings there weeding and tidying the garden. I'm not quite sure why, but it seemed I was the one that people looked to when they wanted to know the difference between a weed and a plant. I really hope I told them right, as I have absolutely no idea about gardening. If we didn't really know much about gardening before, we soon will, as we've taken on a project, first clearing and then redesigning the science garden at Portfield School, a school for autistic children where our president, Amy, works. We discovered on getting there this was not going to be an easy task. We weeded and cut back many plants and ended up filling 30 bin bags. Plans are being made to make the garden a much better place for the children to be, and we'll be getting very involved in making these improvements in the future. We've also been helping out at Boscombe Chine Gardens, painting railings and generally tidying up. We spent a number of hours sweeping leaves from rather too many steps, which we found was much appreciated by the public. However, we did feel rather deflated when we saw how strong the wind was and how much it rained the next day. Somehow I don't think our efforts lasted very long. It's good to be part of all these different projects in the community. But now I want to tell you about our next project, which I find incredibly exciting as we're getting involved in outreach. Imagine you've lost everything: your job, your home, your respect, your dignity. Perhaps you've suffered due to the recession. Perhaps you're battling a drug and alcohol problem caused by abuse when you were younger, or just because you got in with the wrong crowd. Whatever the reason, you feel on the outskirts of society. You have no home, you sleep on the streets or in a local shelter. You long for someone to take you out of your situation, or at least to care and listen to your story. So that's what Bournemouth Rotaract is doing. We've moved from the ordinary type of community work we do, and we're embracing a new kind. We want to really get out there and help these people that are often forgotten about. So we came up with Challenge Homelessness. Challenge Homelessness is our latest project, and it took place on the 17th and 18th of September. 6 Rotaractors signed up to be sponsored to spend 24 hours as homeless people, accessing local homeless services and spending a night sleeping rough in Bournemouth. The money raised is going to Michael House, a homeless charity in Bournemouth that provides emergency and longer-term accommodation to homeless people, encouraging and supporting them to rebuild their lives. The whole time we were out, we were followed by a photographer who documented our experience by filming and taking photos. The 6 of us set out on a Saturday morning with no food, no money and 1 sleeping bag each. We started by going to the Big Issue office, where myself and our president were inducted on how to sell the Big Issue, badged up and sent out to our pictures for 45 minutes to see how we would do. We were both nervous, as we're not very good at shouting at the best of times, and now we had to shout out to the public to try and sell a magazine that not many people want. Most people politely declined, some completely ignored us, and one man had a go at Amy and told her to get a proper job. We found that people were more willing to give money than give money and take the magazine, thinking that this meant we would have more magazines to sell. However, we have since learned that Big Issue sellers must sell a certain number of magazines in order to keep their pitch, so it's better to take the magazine. By the end of the 45 minutes, we'd sold a massive total of 3 magazines. I sold 2 and Amy sold 1, which I must add was to someone she vaguely knew, so I think I won. It was certainly an interesting experience, and we did feel disheartened when people kept saying no thank you. After selling the Big Issue, we were getting pretty hungry, so we went to a soup kitchen where we were fed sausage, mash and baked beans. We were also given cups of tea and cake. We found this meal to be a lot better than we were expecting, and we left feeling satisfied. We had a chance to speak to the homeless people there, and they were very appreciative of what we were doing. We followed this with a visit to the YMCA, where we went through the admission process, finding out that you need to have a local connection to get in, due to so many people coming to Bournemouth from across the country and all trying to access these services. We had a look round and learnt that out of the 96 people they had staying there, a lot were between the ages of 16 and 20. We also gave an interview on Hope FM, which is the community radio station in the building. On leaving the YMCA, we were hungry, and having no food, took to the streets and went into shops in town which were about to close, to ask if they could give us any food that they would otherwise be throwing out. The response was mixed. Most said no, but a couple of smaller shops did give us food, and we ended up with quite a lot more than we had expected, with a mix of rolls, salads, sausage rolls and pasties. After this, we rummaged through bins to find cardboard to sleep on. We found it very exciting when we came across a lot of card and an old duvet, and took them all back with us to the church grounds where we'd be spending the night. We found shelter in a doorway, where 2 of our members seemed to fall asleep extremely quickly, and so the remaining 4 decided that there wasn't enough room there for all of us to sleep, so we looked for somewhere else. There was a bin shelter that we discovered was unlocked, so we removed the bins and set our cardboard in there. It wasn't a great shelter as our feet would stick out the end, but it was something. We settled down for the night and hoped we might be able to get some sleep. We had a visit at 11 o'clock from a homeless couple who had a dog which ran in and climbed all over our bedding. It was rather intimidating and they had been drinking, but we gave them our leftover food and our duvet and had an interesting chat with them about their lives on the streets. The night for me proved to be a very long and cold one. It kept raining on and off, and so our feet were getting wet, and I was constantly on edge that we might have more late-night visitors. The only other visitors we did get were spiders that decided they liked our bed, and unfortunately for them, they met a terrible fate of being stamped on by my shoe. The rest of the night was uneventful though, and although myself and our president hardly got any sleep, the others did. We could hear them snoring. It would have been nice to have gone home and had a good sleep the next day, but there was more work to be done. After our 24 hours on the streets, we'd arranged a community lunch for the Sunday, inviting local homeless organisations to speak about their services, and we gave a presentation on our homeless experience. The event was attended by the Mayor of Bournemouth, who said he was impressed with what we'd done and the fact that all the local homeless organisations were together in one room. One man who is now staying at Michael House told his story of how he'd been sleeping rough outside the church, drinking heavily, and was found by one of the church members. They told him that there was more to life, and he made the decision to stop drinking and entered Michael House, where he turned his life around and also became a Christian. He said if it wasn't for Michael House and the love that he was shown, he would be dead. The presentations ended with a lunch for about 40 homeless people. where as well as hot food, we handed out bags with food to take away, and bedding, clothes and toiletries. It was good to sit and chat with the homeless and to have everyone eating together, and the whole weekend was a great success. So far we have raised £800 for Michael House, which will be doubled through the big give in December, but we hope to raise even more. Now that it's over, we don't want it to have been a one-off event. We want to keep reaching out and providing help to these people, the majority of whom are warm, friendly, polite and incredibly appreciative. We all have problems, some more than others, but we shouldn't be cast aside because of them. We want to make a difference to those in our homeless community. One thing we'd like to do next is to get involved with setting up a new soup kitchen, as a number have been closed down in Bournemouth and there's a great need with winter fast approaching. There are so many cuts going on amongst the services that help these people, and to have the soup kitchens closed down as well will affect them badly. We already have another event to plan, which will be near Christmas, giving gifts and festive food, but we want to have something more permanent. We know it will take time and effort and really need a building to use during the winter if we want to do it properly. But we as Rotaract want to leave a lasting legacy of care and compassion to the homeless community in Bournemouth, and we hope that Rotary will support us in this exciting venture. Thank you.
Again, I have to say, when I was listening to Lynette speaking last year on Jersey, I thought, I hope that next year's Rotaract chairman is as good. Well, she just got better. And I think that's a terrific project that they're running, and I hope that Rotary can support what they're doing, because they're doing wonderful work. Thank you again, Lynette, that was superb. Right, we now